All right, welcome back. This is the part where we're going to take the blade that we just took out of that gouging machine. There it is. It's not too dull, but it's not sharp either. You can kind of see a little bit of some curving right there. Yeah, it's time. So I get a lot of people that ask me, well, no, I want a new blade. I don't want you to regrind my current blade. I want a new blade. New blades are very expensive and they are very tough to make. And this is what a new blade looks like. It's just as ugly. And guess what? We're going to have to go through the same process of this blade as we will this blade. This is the used blade. This is the new blade. Both of them are equally hard. They're through hardened, so it's not just the removing the surface is going to somehow make it soft or something like that. No, we're going to grind the whole thing fresh just like we would a brand new blade. So don't waste the extra money insisting on a new blade. You wouldn't want to put a new engine in your car every time you need a new oil, would you? So we are here at my surface grinder, and this is a really cool gizmo here. It's a magnetic chuck with it turned off. No big deal. But if I put the blade down, and I'm going to put it in position because why not? Get it ready. You flip this little lever here, and now that's not going anywhere. All right, I've already dressed my wheel, my grinding wheel that is. So we're ready to get down here and find where our surface is. And I want to take the minimum amount of metal off, just a fresh coat, if you will. So I'm just looking for when that wheel's going to hit. And you'll see it start to turn. There it goes. All right, I'm going to back it off just a little bit. Kind of hear that. We're ready to grind. All right, I've got a little bit too low. No problem. Just kind of want to go over the whole surface and see if there's any high spots. Don't seem to be. So, and when I'm lowering this wheel down, it is by about 1/10,000th of an inch. That's the difference between 1/10,000th of an inch right there. So you should go a long time before needing a new blade. I've never seen one ground out that I can't use because it's just been too ground. I'm just going to go over that one more time. This blade is nice and flat. That's the whole reason of this little gizmo here. Just getting a real flat surface, and then we're going to do the sides and make sure it's real square. Because you got to have a square blade before you put the curve on it and put it back in the machine. Take that off. Get around this somehow. Clean my area. Fingers are good cleaners. I don't know if you can see that now. It's a nicer surface. I got a little fingerprints at the top up there, but you can still see a little wear here. Don't worry about that. We're going to get past that. Put that down. Turn that on, or else, you know, I'm going to have a projectile here. Nobody wants that. Oh, a little lighter on that side. Come back through and do it again, a little lower. And I want to go quickly. If I sit here and try and go slow, it's just going to dig in and do what we call a burn-in spot. And that takes a long time to get rid of. Then you got to really get some metal off to get down there past the grind-in spot. Well, this looks pretty good. just to make sure we got it all. I'm going to do it one more time on the top. We'll work on getting that front part. Typically flat again. There we go. It sounds like it's cutting a lot, but that's not even 2/10,000ths of an inch. And the other nice part about this is I'm not looking for any measurement. I just want it flat. Doesn't matter at all how thick it is. Right. So there we are on the top and bottom. And we've worked through that little rounded part. Oh, there we are on the end. That was no problem. That's just a fingerprint right there. A little smudge. Don't worry about that. Next we're going to put our little jig up here and get it nice and square. Now, I want to talk about a couple of things from what I've seen. I see some people try to sharpen their blades by hand, and you know, I wouldn't advise that. First of all, this is very hard metal. It's going to take something crazy for you to be able to grind it by hand, like a diamond stone or something that's just too aggressive, really. And secondly, you're not going to have it flat anymore. If you don't have it flat anymore, then you don't have the right curve anymore. And that's kind of the whole purpose of the gouging machine, is to get the really even curve everywhere. You want it consistent on both sides. And then the other thing is people have a need to, or they think they have a need that the blade should be real shiny. And that is another one that is beyond me. Really, the only part that cuts the blade is the very edge, kind of like the burr, and you can't really polish a burr. And regardless of how rough the curve looks, it's not rough. And the burr is smooth, and I'll show you in a little bit what we do as far as grinding the curve goes. Right now, we're getting the sides nice and straight and square, because if we don't have straight and square sides, when we put it in the holder to grind the curve, it could be all cockeyed or something, and we don't want that. And we're going to have a real hard time setting up the gouging machine. So it may seem a little bit anal, but you know, when you're dealing with measurements in the microns, you kind of have to go through all the hoops. So we're going to do the same for the sides as we did for the other surfaces. For the top and bottom, we're going to do first side, make sure to get it nice and flat and square. This side, I need to grind a little bit more off this side. I don't know if that's coming through the camera or not, but the very top is not catching the wheel. So I'm a little bit out of square. It's not the biggest issue because most of the side here is flat and square now, but I'm going to go ahead and grind a little bit more. There we go. All right. Flip the blade over. Sorry, you can't see me do that. I'm just turning it from one side to the other and keeping this jig the same side down for the jig, with the blade just kind of swaps places with it. Get my magnet going there. Snug this up. We're going to do our last side here, and we'll have our blade that's going to be ready to put the curve on. All right. Before we go over to the blade grinder, I'll take this blade off, and I want to check to make sure I didn't create any burrs on the edges, because that might keep it from really sitting in the blade holder for the grinder real well. So I'm just going to kind of feel on the side. Yeah, it's a little bit sharp. So I'm just going to take it over here to my diamond stone and just kind of on the corner here, just a couple of passes. Hardly any change, but I know it's going to fit in that holder nicely. So our next video will be pretty short. I'll just grind the actual curve part. That's the most important part. So check back in. Thanks.